Tar Heels and the Jayhawks, 7 o'clock, Smith Center tonight. Well, Kansas, much like the Tar Heels, has a brand new team. They really only have one player back from last season who played significant minutes, Flory Badunga, who was their backup center last year behind Hunter Dickinson, but is going to take a much larger role this year. 6'10", originally from the Congo. I mean, he's super athletic, super lengthy. Last year, shot 70% from the floor, so he's dunking it a lot. And he had over 20 points in Kansas's season opener against Green Bay. He is one of the key pieces on this team, as is their talented freshman, Darren Peterson. And Adam, I think everybody, this is a really good freshman class across college basketball. Maybe the best one we've had as far as depth of talent in a decade. I don't know. Since when, I don't know. But there's a lot of good freshmen. And I think everybody had heard of DeBonsa, right? I mean, that if you follow college basketball, you'd at least heard of A.J. DeBonsa. You knew he was really good. Kind of quietly, by the end of last year, some people were saying this Darren Peterson guy might be better than DeBonsa. And who knows? Look, it doesn't matter. They're both really good players, as is Caleb Wilson, as is whichever boozer's better at Duke. And there's the dude at Arizona, Pete. I mean, there's a lot of good freshmen.
His last name's Pete.
Yeah, Pete. Yeah, Pete. No, yes, was it Koa Pete? So there's a lot of we're on first name basis. Pete, good old Pete down there in Arizona. He'll fix your roof if you have some trouble. A lot of good freshmen. And Peterson is right here in this conversation, and some people think he's the best. 6'6" point guard. And Adam, all I did was watch him against Green Bay, so I don't have this big bank of knowledge. It shocked me how mature his game appeared to be for a freshman. Like he was so under control in everything he did. And whether that was running a pick and roll, running the fast break, delivering to a teammate, shooting the three-pointer where he's a very good shooter. He had a big scoring game. I mean, he and Badunga combined for like half of Kansas's points in this game, a 94-51 win. He just appears to me to be very talented, very skilled, but also very mature. And so those two aren't the only pieces to this team. They've got a bunch of guys from overtime elite, which I still don't really understand. Even Ian Jackson was an overtime elite. I don't really understand what that is. They have a couple of veteran transfers. A second-team all-conference player, Jaden Dawson from Loyola, Chicago. Trey White, who's played at USC and Louisville and Illinois and now Kansas. They have a 26-year-old guy from Kansas or from Canada, G. Ngala. He's 26. Luka thinks he's old. So they have other pieces. Melvin Council Jr., who Carolina saw when he was at Wagner. He had 18 points against Carolina in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. They have plenty of pieces, but it's hard to start anywhere else with them other than Peterson and Badunga.
Pretty unusual to have a guy be in his second game in college, and he's already at the top of the scouting report, the guy who you want to make sure everyone on the defense knows where he is at all times. That's obviously the biggest defensive assignment for Carolina. You would think Seth Trimble would see some time on him. Little bit of a question about how well Kansas shoots it from the perimeter outside of Peterson, but for sure you cannot foul them. Their guards are probably more effective outside of Peterson. Their guards are probably more effective at the free throw line than they are shooting threes. They've had some struggles both in their exhibition games, but I mean, it's hard to know because just like Carolina, it's a different team. So you look at last year, you don't see anybody who really makes a difference in this game with very, very few exceptions. So Tar Heels are going to be challenged by some size. but Carolina's a lot bigger than last year. Like Badunga by himself last year was a problem. But this year, Carolina's got multiple guys that they can use. And I think those defensive pieces are going to be important as you kind of shuffle guys on and off Peterson, maybe give him a different look, put some height on him, put some athleticism on him, just make him defeat lots of things. If he's going to be the one who beats you, he's going to have to do it over and through multiple guys.
Adam, this feels like it's the second game of the year. Both these teams are going to play many other good teams this year. I mean, just looking at Kansas in the near future, Kansas plays Duke, Notre Dame, Syracuse, and UConn. We know that the Tar Heels not only, and then, of course, Kansas into the Big 12. Carolina's going to play ACC games. We know the Tar Heels still play Kentucky. They play Michigan State. They play Georgetown. They play Ohio State. They're going to play a lot of good teams, too. And the season is not defined by this game in any stretch. But it just feels like an important game for Carolina. Carolina is involved in these games all the time because it's Carolina. The Tar Heels have not won as many of these games in the last, since COVID, as they did before COVID. They've won some of them, of course. But it feels like you're at home, you have a good team. It feels like this game carries a little more weight for Carolina than it does for Kansas, wherein both these teams, of course, are going to have plenty of opportunities. I think both these teams are good. Both these teams likely have a chance to have a high seed in the NCAA tournament. It just feels like it might have a little more weight for the Heels.
No question. One of the big storylines of last year was you didn't get many home opportunities in games like this. This is a home opportunity in a game like this. You don't just need to play well, you need to win the game. You need to beat Kansas. This is the biggest non-conference home game since what? In terms of stakes, opponent, storylines.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Let's see. Tar Heels hosted Gonzaga. That felt, but not, what was that, 19 maybe? Carolina hosted Tennessee in the 24 season. That was a big one. They had, I'm going way back. They had those games against UConn early in the Roy Williams tenure that were big. They had that game. Remember that game against Ohio State?
That's the one I was going to say.
Yeah.
With Mike Conley.
Yeah, that was, 07?
But Oden didn't play.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that for sure leading up to the game. I think the lead up is most similar to that game, where it felt like Ohio State was kind of making a push, and they were trying to be the cool team, and the Tar Heels needed to say, "We are the Tar Heels. You're playing in the Smith Center. We're going to beat you." Also, that was a great crowd, and that's what needs to happen in this game.
This is going to be a great crowd. It's going to be a great atmosphere. It's a big weekend. You've got the basketball, football doubleheader. I do think the Smith Center crowd has a chance to make a difference.
And players like Luka. Basically no one on the roster other than Seth Trimble and James Brown have ever seen a full Smith Center in an environment like this and played in front of a crowd like that. And we got to see it last year in Lawrence. This game is going to be a really big deal. There's going to be Kansas people wandering up and down Franklin Street all day because they've made it a point. This game's been announced for a long time. They've planned the trip. They're going to come see the game. They want to see Kansas in this environment. Carolina fans want to see Carolina and Kansas in this environment. And this just has a big feel and is the type of game that the Tar Heels need to win. And just in the short term, this sets the tenor on how people feel about the Tar Heels between now and Thanksgiving. Nothing you do between Kansas and Thanksgiving is going to change what people think about this team. So need to have a good showing on Friday.
Yeah, Tar Heels certainly have plenty of games between now and then, but they are games they will be heavily favored. I think Navy's in there, maybe North Carolina Central.
Radford.
Those are games Carolina would expect to be heavily favored in. So big game coming up again. That is 7 o'clock tonight in the Smith Center. We are on the air radio-wise at 6 p.m.